And welcome back to the Unfiltered Sports Weekly. I'm the Beeb.
Yeah, I'm the Cub.
I'm St. Joe.
And we're here to nail it with St.
Oh,
Joe.
wow. Really?
I heard, I'm very excited about this podcast because we had a promise, St. Joe. You know who we had a promise with?
We had a promise?
We had a promise from Keb last week. You know what that promise was?
Oh, God. Yeah, I do know what the promise is, and I don't know if I'm excited about it or not.
Well, we're going to find out.
Oh, we're going to find out.
Mm-hmm. But I will say this, to prime the Keb's pump.
That sounds dangerous.
I just read an article and watched a video of an Eagles fan throwing a popcorn bucket at their current coach as he exited the field in Tampa.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I just want to say, you can't be like top of the world every year in the NFL. It just doesn't work that way, does it?
Well, they sucked. I mean, they went 1-6.
Well, over the last 7 games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were horrible.
Jags.
My son is, he may not be an Eagles fan anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he will be, but he's very disappointed in him.
Well, for them, it was a pretty disappointing game. But for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was a great game, wasn't it?
It was a good game for the Bucs. Yes.
Yeah. They won 32-9.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield comes out sniffing salt. He gets ready to go in some really weird games, weird ways.
But their defense was really the story of that game.
Sure.
Tampa Bay's defense had a game. So.
Yeah, they did good.
Kev, are you just going to be quiet?
He's
No, I'm waiting for you guys to get through all your niceties about the Bucks. I mean, the story wasn't the Bucks defense; it was the lack of defense by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Baker Mayfield threw a pass that should have gained 6 yards. One missed tackle and 65-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing more ridiculous than that was Josh Allen's touchdown that he ran for.
52-yarder, yeah.
Against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, because those weather games, because I watched the Kansas City game against the Dolphins, and I knew how that game was going to go before it even started just because of the weather.
Are you saying that Miami is not a cold weather team?
That's correct.
Oh, shocker. Because they play in Miami?
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
Right.
Well, currently along those lines in Panama City, Florida, right now, it's 19 degrees. Okay. In Miami, it's 88.
Yeah. I mean, in Wisconsin, it's, with the wind chill, it's in -20.
Okay. Then it's -20. Okay,
negative.
If it feels like fucking negative, they kept doing that on the goddamn TV the other night. That was 7 degrees, but it feels like it's 0. Then it's fucking 0. Okay, it is how cold it fucking feels like. Okay, they did that on multiple games.
Yeah.
Listen, it's just one of those things where if you have an offense that's built off of throwing the ball like Miami does, and you have a weather game like that, and you don't have much of a run game, then you're going to struggle. That's just historical. That's historically. Not a lot of teams throwing the ball all over the yard in that type of cold. I mean, Josh Allen threw a few, I guess.
I disagree.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. I disagree. Football is football. You run the ball, you pass the ball, you kick the ball.
The Dolphins don't really run the ball.
Well, I know, but there's players that pass and catch the ball. I mean, you're not calling any different plays just because it's cold.
It's just a lot harder to catch the ball and throw the ball in that type of weather.
I was wondering how the guys in KC and Miami game, how they were going to grip the ball. like Mahomes and Tua,
Sure.
having trouble gripping the ball. You remember years ago, Roethlisberger came out. It's like, fuck this shit. I'm wearing a glove.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Sure. Yes, is there different equipment maybe that you wear because it's colder? You might wear a long sleeve shirt versus a short sleeve. Sure. But I mean, football's football. I mean,
They were fucking wearing wetsuits under their pads.
sure.
You can't
I
run
mean,
as fast.
but-
as that. You can't run. You can't run like you would with that type of stuff on.
Okay.
I mean, it just changes the way the game's played. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it makes the game a little more predictable because Kansas City plays in that type of weather all the time, and Miami doesn't really. And
does it get warm in Kansas City?
yeah, but it gets cold in Kansas City all the time.
Sure.
And they play a playoff game. They've been playing playoff games for the last 5 years there in this type of weather,
Okay.
and Miami hasn't. So my point in saying that is it is a shocker when you are performing a sport in that temperature. You don't
Okay.
think that type of weather plays into it at all?
So you're saying that Jacksonville has a incredible advantage then because they play in 90-degree heat and nobody else
in September they do. That's their home field advantage. It's
So,
fuck
but-
hot here.
but nobody else plays in 90-degree heat.
Miami does.
Okay.
Tampa does.
Okay. But
Dallas and Houston are both pussies because they play in a fucking dome.
okay.
You know?
Okay.
You know, Atlanta, pussies, dome.
Okay. All right, great.
You know, so open weather stadiums, the three hottest, are right here in the state of Florida. That's our home field advantage.
Okay.
And how did we start the season?
1 and 2.
I mean, no, how did we start the season? Like we were 8-3, right?
We were 8
And then it
3,
got cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
ain't because we were fucking winning at home. We have a fucking horrible home record.
That's
Right.
true.
Yeah,
That's
which defeats the purpose of this. But what I'm saying is that in September, you know, our home field advantage is that it gets fuck hot. In December, it's not really an advantage because what's a 50?
Yeah.
You know, 60 at
Sure.
kickoff.
Sure.
I would say it definitely played like so if you're Buffalo, right? And the weather they just played in. It wasn't an advantage to them because they were playing against Pittsburgh, who that team is used to it because that's they're basically on the same is it longitude or latitude, whatever line that is, they're on. They're basically the same, location up north, whereas Miami is 1,500 miles south. Closer to the equator. Don't ever see snow down there. You don't think that if Miami was playing in Buffalo in 0-degree temperatures that it would maybe play with them a little bit? I mean, like when you walk out into the cold, like -30 after living in Florida, I mean, is that something you function in?
Sure. I mean, I grew up in Wisconsin, so yeah.
I mean, you function well in it.
No, I mean,
As
yes,
good as
your
the people
body
who live in it all the
changes,
time?
and sure. I mean,
Right.
it's different. I know what you're saying, but I mean, at the same time, football is football. These are pro athletes. I mean,
How do you train for that?
how do you train to play in the snow?
Right. Other than playing in it, like practicing in it and playing in it.
It's the same way that you train to play football. You get a handoff and you run. I mean,
Sure.
it's
But
the same.
it feels different. Everything's different.
Sure. So you might have to hold on to the ball a little bit tighter.
Well,
Or-
when Caltech sent Dr. Sheldon Cooper and Leonard Hofstadter to the Arctic, they went to the Cheesecake Factory and sat in the freezer.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the equipment that they have these days is so high tech. So if let's take rain for example, right? Or if you're on turf, right? What do? They come out and they say, "Oh man, it's a little bit slippery on the field. So instead of 1-inch spikes, I'm going to put 2-inch spikes on." So they adjust the equipment to fit the needs of the field. But they don't say, "Oh my God, it's raining out, so we're going to have to." Holy cow, we play different football. Yeah, they play different football. Then they might not pass as much, but they run the football. But you know what? They still play football.
Right, but the team that's more geared for running is going to win the game because that's what they do.
Right, because
the
they're
team
but you
that-
know what?
but the
Each
team that
team they're
throws-
still playing
So
football.
you just agreed to my point. Miami
No,
throws
I
the ball
didn't.
all over the field. You can't throw the ball in that type of weather.
Okay, right.
Say Joe, let me ask you this. Okay, you grew up in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gathering that you guys went out and played in the snow when it was
absolutely.
when it was like fuck cold out there, right?
Absolutely.
So did you played like football out there, right?
Yeah, you got bundled
Okay.
up and you went out, and it was awesome because it didn't matter if you got tackled. You got tackled into the snowbank, and it was great, and it didn't hurt because you just fell in the snowbank.
So when somebody threw something at you and it hit you, did it not hurt?
No, it felt like a rock, and it sucked.
Yeah,
because your hands were cold
same
and everything.
Fucking concept.
No, it's not because
Just agreed with me. All right.
if
well,
I'm in 90-degree weather and the quarterback throws the ball to me to catch it, guess what? I still have to catch it. If it's 30 below and the quarterback throws the ball to me, guess what? I still have to catch it. If I go out and run a fly, I run a fly. If I go out and run a button hook, I go out and run a button hook. It doesn't matter if it's snowing or it doesn't matter if it's 90 degrees. It's the same fucking play. It's football.
So what you're saying is that Miami is just a bunch of bitches and everybody who's associated with the Dolphins should shut the fuck up.
No, I'm saying football is football. It doesn't matter where you are or what it is. The weather is an excuse to say that's why I lost the game. It's football. So stop
Okay.
using the weather as an excuse and say, you know what? I didn't play a
I
good
didn't hear
game.
anybody. I mean, in their defense, I didn't hear anybody try to use that as an excuse. I was just saying I feel like the weather does play into it because I also, coming from a cold state, have also played sports in cold and hot weather. And I'll tell you what, in track and field, which I was, all-state athlete in, yeah, you ran a lot slower in the cold weather than you did in the hot weather. That's just
Okay,
how
so
it
let's
was.
use track and field in your example. When it rained, did you run differently? Or did you prepare differently when you
Yes.
ran track on the rain than you did
Yes.
in the dry? What did you do
100%.
differently? What did you do
Well,
differently?
So if it's nice and warm outside, I'm warming up a half hour before the race. If it's raining outside, I'm not warming up until I absolutely have to go do it.
Okay,
So
but did you
that means your muscles are ready to run in the warm weather.
Okay.
Two, in the rain, they're not.
Okay.
That means one, you're already not prepared to run fast. Two, when you run in the rain, you're not going to run as fast because one, it's colder, and two, the rain is hitting you while you're running. Okay, so
Great.
there's two different things. But also, it's in a sport where you actually have to catch a ball that's as cold as a rock, like in football, which I have done in cold weather. It actually hurts your hand, and it is a lot harder to catch the ball in the cold weather. You admitted
Perfect.
it earlier.
What race did you run? Did you run the 50-yard dash? Did you run the 100? Did you run the mile?
There's no 50-yard dash.
Okay, well, what race did you run?
I ran anything from the 100-meter dash to the 800 meters.
Perfect. When you ran the 100 meters, did you run 100 meters in the rain or did you run 100 meters when it was 90 degrees out?
You're asking about the distance of the race. You're not asking about how I ran it.
No, I'm asking you which one you ran. When it was 90,
everything you do is different
No.
when you prepare for that.
No, it's
race.
not.
Everything
No.
you do.
It's a
Everything
simple
you do is
question,
different in
Beebs. It's a simple
You
question.
You already even said yourself, if it's raining out, well, I'm going to have to prepare differently. I'm going to have to put different types of cleats
It's a
on. I'm gonna
simple
have to-
question, Beebs. When it was 90 degrees out, did you run 100 meters?
A lot faster than I ran.
When it was raining out, did you run 100 meters?
Yeah.
Okay, so you ran 100 meters whether it was raining out or it was 90 degrees out, right?
Right.
You might have prepared different, right? But either way, if it was raining out or it was 90 degrees out, you still ran 100 meters.
So, Scott, it's great that you can say it's 100 meters in the cold and it's 100 meters in the warm. That's not the argument. The argument is the performance different in one type of weather than it is in the other type of weather? And the answer is absolutely yes.
No, the result is exactly the same. You're
not.
running
It's not the
100
same.
meters.
Yeah, but you're running it slower, which means the result is not the same. And you
Are
also
they
have
play-
a higher reaction time in your muscles, which means guess what? You could pull a muscle a lot easier in the cold weather. which means you're being more careful when you run, which means you don't have as much speed. There's this whole mental thing that goes into all of it in the cold weather in athletics.
Are you still running regardless of what happens?
Oh yes.
Okay, so during the game, was Miami still playing football?
Well,
or were they playing baseball?
You might argue that they weren't.
Okay.
They didn't look very good, but
logically, it's funny that I'm being the logical one here tonight, but logically,
Is that what that is?
were they still playing the game of football?
well, sure they were playing football, yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect.
But logically, you already stated that you have to prepare and play differently according to the weather. You said it yourself.
Of course you do. But they're still playing the game of football.
Yeah. I didn't say that we were playing a different game. I'm saying you play it differently than you normally do. And some teams are prepared to do that, and some teams are not. And you just saw who those teams were.
Okay.
In my opinion.
And they lost, and they got their ass handed to them.
Right, which I would also say, hey, that's part of the professionalism thing. I would say if you're a professional, you should probably show up no matter what happens. Totally agree with you. Totally. But I do think the weather still plays into it.
Okay.
But now that we bored the Kev, he's like texting people. He's like
he's checking how many YouTube people we have on. Yeah. Oh, and it's still the same as last week.
It's still the same as last week.
I even changed the YouTube thumbnail thinking it would grab other people.
It didn't.
It didn't. Hey, you want to know what I learned this weekend?
Yeah.
Sure.
I learned that without a doubt, there is proof that there is a God.
Oh,
boy. You want to know how I know that?
Oh, Jesus.
Did you have
Number one, there is proof that there is a God and he has a great sense of humor.
Mm.
And that he loves each and every one of us because, excuse me, talk amongst yourselves.
Maybe you should quit that thing that's in your hand.
He either needs to quit it altogether or he needs to take another hit of it. One or the other.
His sense of humor is he hasn't killed you yet with that vape.
Oh yeah, and just chase it with a drink too while you're at it. Yeah.
Good Lord. Is it what, strawberry pineapple tonight?
Excuse me. I apologize to our many viewers on YouTube. As I was saying, there is a God, he has a sense of humor, and he loves us very much because he just made the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles lose on the same playoff weekend.
The NFC East is done.
They kind of lost in the same fashion almost. I mean, Dallas just got slaughtered. But
yeah.
Philadelphia didn't really show up either. So.
Dallas got ass handed to them by the seventh seed.
I kept looking for a reason why this happened. Like, why was their defense so much worse than it had been all season?
Oh, well, let me tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you something about the Philadelphia Eagles first.
Okay.
All right? You ready?
Yes.
I mean,
ready.
What a performance they put on. You know, it was like watching a bunch of fucking turkeys fly. They all have Bell's palsy, so only half their shit works. I saw some better fucking plays in a fucking elementary school than what got pulled off last night. They go. I love their fans because their fans. I fucking hate their fans. They always go into the fucking playoffs thinking they're the big shots, you know, reigning NFC champs. You know, they beat a San Francisco team last year that was on their like ninth quarterback, but that's not the problem. You know, strutting around, you know, shit don't stink. Then what happens? The Bucks came in and kicked them in the fucking nuts.
They did too.
It was like watching a TV show off of St. Joe's List. You know, there's shows that we need to talk about, but you still sit through it hoping for a twist. Well, there's no twist.
Yeah.
It comes down to the fact that nothing good ever comes out of Philly. Fucking Jalen Hurts means to see more accurate passes last night from fucking Helen Keller. It was like, no, you know what it is? It's like fucking Helen Keller playing pin the tail on the donkey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, he's throwing the ball like he's playing fetch with his fucking dog in the backyard. But you know what? The back to the fans. Horrible fucking these motherfuckers. They go from Super Bowl bound, baby, to fire everyone. Burn the stadium down. Let me throw popcorn on fucking Nick Sirianni.
Yeah. Yeah, they go from that was the other thing. Okay, so this is like a weird common theme, right? You're in the Super Bowl last year. In the Super Bowl last year, too, we're gonna fire the coach this year, even though we're in the playoffs. Right? Made it to the playoffs. We're gonna fire him.
Yeah. And then the excuses start pouring in. Oh, it was the ref's fault. Jalen Hurts has a hangnail. That's why we lost. You lost because your fucking defense sucks. You choked down the fucking line just like every fucking Philly team does. Go punch a fucking horse, you fucking idiots.
Jesus.
Well, we weren't sure.
You couldn't get your act together when it mattered the most. It's like you forgot you were playing in the fucking playoffs. It's like you're fucking up in Wisconsin in the snow playing in the fucking Turkey Bowl.
Is that a thing? The Turkey Bowl?
No.
That's what the game's called when you play on Thanksgiving. It's the Turkey Bowl. Like your family gets together and like Uncle Joe who molested your brother when he was a kid, he's over there and he's doing all this. In fact, Philly fans make no fucking sense. Okay, none of them. Not the fucking Flyers, certainly not the fucking Phillies, and they suck so bad they lost the fucking 76ers.
They did?
Yeah.
No, they're still there, but they're not good.
The Sixers?
Yes.
They've been good for the last 3 or 4
They've
seasons.
lost. Well, yeah.
They haven't won anything, but they've been okay.
What's the last time the fucking 76ers won anything? Fucking Dr. J was there. They couldn't even win with fucking Barkley.
Yeah. Barkley was quite an athlete. So a little bit shocked they didn't win with Barkley.
But back to the fucking Philly fans. Anytime they get like close to winning some shit, they burn the motherfucker down. They don't respect the historical city that they fucking live in. They go and you know what? I am going to go to fucking Philly and fucking call it a Philly cheesesteak. They fucking hate that shit. We got a comment that says AI was pretty great. What's that mean?
Allen
Iverson.
And he was
yeah.
Hall of Famer. Yeah. They've had some good players.
Did they win shit?
AI went to the finals. We're talking about practice.
Did they win shit?
We're talking about
Did they win the NBA finals?
Not a game.
No.
Not a game.
Yeah.
Practice.
I don't think Keb likes Philly.
I don't think so either. But along those lines, there was another team that played over the weekend that looked a lot like Philadelphia, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. And the same ridiculous questions were going around after the Cowboys lost. Well, they lost in a pretty pathetic fashion.
The best part of that game is when they're getting their ass whipped, and Dak threw that fucking pick six, and then they fucking show it up, Jerry Jones up in the booth, just fucking like throwing shit. That's the best fucking part of that game.
Yeah, well, I don't think
the game was over.
I think McCarthy's getting fired, and I'm not sure Dak Prescott's coming back.
Yeah, but who they got? Okay, so they fired their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, right? Who was a overrated, offensive coordinator. He's an overrated quarterback. If you could name where he went to college, I'd be impressed.
Boise State.
That is correct, sir.
And he has some of the best stats ever in the NCAA. Granted, he played in a crap league.
Wasn't he the architect of that drive that beat Oklahoma in 06?
No, he wasn't. That was a different quarterback. He didn't come until a couple years after that. So, but Kellen Moore was one of the best quarterbacks in NCAA history.
Anyhow, He's overrated.
Statistically speaking.
Well, it didn't transfer over to his ability to call plays.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I mean, I think the discussion about firing McCarthy is a weird one.
Why? He can't win a playoff. He can't win a playoff game.
Who has in Dallas?
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, probably Jimmy Johnson's probably the last one.
Name a coach since Jimmy Johnson. Now, Jimmy Johnson played when they just bought everybody. They had a whole team.
Barry Switzer won the '95 Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah. Jason Garrett, I think, won a playoff game or two, maybe.
Yeah.
But
You said name another one.
Okay, sorry. Out of away from that era, in the last 25 years, how many coaches have they had, and how many of them have won playoff games? They've only had one coach since then who's
Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells didn't win a playoff game. I don't think. Not with the Cowboys.
Oh, neither did. I don't think Garrett did either.
Jason Garrett won. He won a singular game. Actually, they won one last year, didn't they?
No, I don't think they did.
I don't know.
I don't think they did.
I agree with our commenter. We were just talking about Barry Switzer.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, that Barry Switzer was a bad babysitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, he mentioned Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf was a really good quarterback in college, too. But he wasn't.
Yeah, but he sucked in the NFL.
Yeah.
He was a head case.
Yeah.
He got in his own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like Caleb Williams is fitting to for the Bears.
But I think
no,
Dallas,
he's not going to play for the Bears.
I mean, McCarthy.
The Bears are going to trade that number one pick.
Mike McCarthy's had 2 12-win seasons in a row, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he can't. It doesn't go any further.
I mean, he's won a Super Bowl
with the Packers. Yeah.
So he knows how to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my question is, who are you going to bring in that's going to be better? I mean, the only one that's out there that I can think is Bill Belichick.
But he's interviewing with Atlanta.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that could happen, but if you believe that they should fire Mike McCarthy, who's going to come in that's going to make them a better team? What coach? Nick Saban? I mean,
Nick Saban.
No.
Nick Saban is not going to the NFL.
No, but that's kind of my point. Can you think of a coach that's going to do better?
Nick Saban's going to chill in his $11.3 million house,
Yes.
and then he's going to fucking get a big fucking check from either ESPN or Fox or name your TV station. I mean, with all the money they're going to fucking pay him, it's probably Nick Saban TV, and sit out there. And then he's going to go on like a talking circuit at $150,000 a fucking speech.
Right.
That's what Nick Saban's going to do.
Yeah, I agree.
The comment from our friend is the one I think this is the truest one. It doesn't matter who the Cowboys head coach is. The Cowboys will never win another Super Bowl with Jerry Jones as the real head coach. I believe that's probably true. Jerry Jones is probably the issue with the Cowboys.
And has been for some time.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so my question still remains, who are they going to hire that's going to change that? That's going to do better.
I think that they need to fire McCarthy and lure Matt Eberflus away from the Chicago Bears.
They can have him. They can have him.
That was another question I had. It's like, how can Mike McCarthy be on the chopping block, but Eberflus is perfectly fine, right?
Well, Jerry Jones never really manages with any sort of logic. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, he wins 2 Super Bowls. You would think that earns you the right to run the fucking team like you fucking want to. But Jerry Jones couldn't have that at that time, so Jimmy Johnson said, fuck you, I'm leaving. Who knows what happened with Barry Switzer. Bill Parcells, another guy. Didn't like him, so you bring in somebody that you can control like Jason Garrett. And, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I get, but that still doesn't fix. I mean, it doesn't answer the question. Who are you going to bring in that's going to do a better job than Mike McCarthy, especially with the offense? The defense was good at the beginning of the season. I don't know what happened over the long run, but
outside of Belichick, okay, I think there are 2 coaches out there that could do probably a better job than McCarthy. One, because he kind of understands today's player, and 2, because he's an older guy, but he has a ton of fucking energy. And that's Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll.
I could see Pete Carroll, but I just thought he was staying with Seattle. I was saying he's not staying as a coach, but he's staying in their upper office, isn't he?
as an advisor.
I think that's not going to happen. You know,
You think he's gonna...
not from the articles. That
I was
read.
shocked.
I think he still
I was
wants
shocked to hear
coach.
Pete Carroll, 72 years old. I can't imagine. I mean, 72 is kind of
Pete
old.
Carroll's got a bunch of opportunity. I mean, lest we forget, he was very successful in college.
Oh,
yeah, incredibly successful in college. Granted, he had a bunch of players, but you have to recruit those players.
I can see him hopping into the University of Washington job and having instant success.
I mean, they'll be back in the fucking mix next year,
Right.
And all those people that are now transferring away from Washington
because
what's his face has gone to Alabama, they may stay because Pete Carroll's there. You want. I mean, in college, as a college football player, what's your number one goal? Get the NFL, right?
I don't know if that's the goal anymore.
Make a name for yourself to get to the NFL, because no matter how much money you're paid NIL, it doesn't amount to as much as you can make in the NFL. Yeah. So you get to the NFL. So if you had Pete Carroll, somebody who's won a fucking Super Bowl, I mean, he could maybe help you get to the NFL. I might stay if I'm a Washington guy.
Yeah. Well, so back to Dallas. Other than, I don't know that Pete Carroll, he didn't really retire. He didn't announce any retirement, did he?
No.
So, I mean, he could still be in the mix. I guess I could see that as a viable option in Dallas, but he's 72 years old. I mean, how long is he going to be there?
I mean, he could be a placeholder for somebody you're trying to groom. Maybe. To my knowledge, the only coach that's actually retired is Saban. And the reason that he retired is because he has zero confidence in the college football playoff committee because they left Florida State out.
I don't think that's why he retired.
You know what's funny about that?
I just had to get that in.
You know what's funny about that whole thing? Where all of his players, it seems like every one of his players is transferring to Florida State.
Right.
I don't know what that's about, but geez. I mean,
they want to win now, and Florida State's got money. So Florida State's got NIL money. I mean, they're not going to go to UCF.
No, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. All their best players seem to be going to Florida State, and they got a good transfer quarterback.
You ever heard a goddamn peep out of Michigan?
No. Maybe Harbaugh goes to Dallas.
They're all puckered up because, hey, now see, okay, well, that'd be an interesting conversation. That'd be an interesting conversation, but they would have to fire Mike McCarthy tomorrow. I mean, he would have to be gone tomorrow.
There's discussions on firing McCarthy.
Oh, there's definitely discussions on firing McCarthy.
There's discussions.
But McCarthy would get picked up pretty quick somewhere. I don't think he would be a head coach, but I think he would get picked up pretty quick somewhere.
I bet you some of these teams that have fired their coach that haven't hired another coach yet, because the only one, to my knowledge, that's hired one is New England.
I would take Mike McCarthy in Jacksonville.
Well, I think a bunch of these teams might be waiting to see if Dallas fires McCarthy.
Sure.
Like Tennessee. I mean, no fucking way he goes to Carolina. I mean,
nobody wants that job. Maybe Carolina will hire Ron Rivera back.
That's the fucking worst job in the NFL. They are the Colorado Rockies of the NFL.
You mentioned Colorado. How about that? They really want to make a splash. How about they hire Deion?
Denver? Who are you talking about?
Deion Sanders.
Dallas?
Oh, you're talking about Dallas hiring Deion?
Yeah.
I think that might be a tad bit over Deion's head.
I agree, but they could, he wants prime time, then, played for Dallas.
I feel like that would be a train wreck just waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it would be.
Hey, to our commenter, the Rockies are by far the worst franchise in Major League Baseball, and I'm not the one that came up with that.
Oh, but they have home field advantage though, Kev, because they play differently when they're there because they can hit the ball farther.
Okay, the last time they played the Braves there, the Braves swept them in Colorado. That's how much their home field advantage means to them.
They haven't been able to pitch in a decade.
And the kickers
that place that's
differently.
a pitcher's nightmare. You know, I mean, not to hijack this into baseball, but that's a pitcher's fucking nightmare is fucking playing in Denver. You know, I mean,
Sure.
That ball does carry a little bit, doesn't it?
yeah. But I'll tell you, it's a kicker's fucking dream.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
Sure.
to my knowledge, in the record,
But it's
60
just football. It's
It's
just
still football.
Yeah.
But they have to train. They have what people know when they go to Denver, they have to get on there and they have to breathe differently and they have to run harder and train differently because and adjust their whole game plan because they're going to Denver and they know that they're gonna. But they got to change their whole plan because they're going to Denver and the altitude is different. And they got their whole game plan there has to be completely. And if it rains there, holy shit, their whole football game is fucked because it's raining and they're in high altitude.
Say, Joe, you might be being a tad ridiculous.
No, no, it's true.
Okay,
it's true.
So you're Wisconsin. You don't get more North United States than that,
Minnesota.
right? So yeah. Okay, so answer this question: when it's like really cold, have you like lived in like sub-freezing temperatures, like below zero and shit?
Yeah, coolest day I've ever worked in my life. It was 70 below.
Oof.
Okay, so when you breathed, did it hurt?
Yeah.
Okay, so same
it
fucking
sucked.
concept. So why are you giving the people of Denver shit?
I'm not giving them shit. I'm saying it's an advantage. It's a sports advantage.
He's giving it to me because he doesn't think altitude plays into the game.
It's their home field advantage.
So if they were to play the Super Bowl on top of Mount Everest,
I love hypotheticals.
You don't. Oh no, this is happening. It'll happen sooner or later. Nepal will get a fucking NFL team sooner or later. Probably before London. Anyhow, so if they're playing the Super Bowl on Mount Everest in those temperatures up there, you don't think by what you're saying here, you don't think that would have any bearing on the game, period?
Well, you're in the highest place possible. I mean,
well, I'll give you, for instance, St. Joe. There was a national title game that was played in New Mexico. Okay, and it was between Houston, who had Akeem Olajuwon, and NC State. Okay, now they both aren't from high altitude situations, but the best player in the country was Akeem Olajuwon, and they kept having to take him out. Do you know why? Because he couldn't breathe at the high altitude. They had to take him out and give him oxygen in order for him to recover and play again. So they actually had to take him out for chunks of the game in order to get him back into, to get him enough oxygen to where he could actually function.
Okay.
So
you know what?
It does play in.
Okay, talk about the Miami Marlins have the lowest win percentage. Yeah, I'm talking about right now who the worst franchise is. I'm not talking about historically. Okay, I'm talking about right now who the worst franchise is. The worst franchise right now is not the Miami Marlins. They made the playoffs. That's to our commenter. Real quick on the weather thing. Here's a little trivia on the weather thing. Can you name the last Super Bowl that was in a cold weather open air stadium, not a dome? What was considered the last cold weather, not in a dome, not in
No idea.
not the last cold weather one?
I don't have any.
Well, they had a playoff game not a while back.
No, it's a Super Bowl, and there are actually two, and it was the same. It was the same temperature. There's actually two.
Was it the Ice Bowl?
No, the last one it was like 2014 or 15. It was at MetLife Stadium.
Oh yeah, yep, I remember.
Okay,
that.
it was in MetLife Stadium, and it was 31 degrees. In 2005, at game time, it was 34 degrees here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Because Terrell Owens was bitching that it was cold in Jacksonville.
Well, okay. And that goes. That's my point that I was about to say is that there's a reason why they don't have a lot of. Well, I mean, they have them in outdoor venues, but a lot of the times the Super Bowls are indoors
So then why do they do that?
because they don't want it to get rained out, or they don't want it to. They want to control the climate, and
They don't want the weather to affect the game and how it's played.
Yeah, they want it.
But if you
I
have
think
it
that's-
indoors, like in New Orleans, the lights can just fucking go. The
yeah,
fuck.
Yeah,
I, personally, I think they have it indoors because for the fan, for the money, because
Right.
they want everybody to attend it, so they can control the atmosphere, so
But
they
you
can make
can't-
money.
You can't take that away in the playoffs, though, because just like here in Jacksonville in September when it's fuck hot, and that's our home field advantage, like that shit going on in Buffalo, that's their home field advantage. And it might not
Sure.
it might not hurt Pittsburgh. It's probably not going to hurt KC coming there this week. But
Right.
if they were to play, I mean, it damn sure
If they were to
in
play an indoor
KC
team.
Yeah, if they were to play like the Vikings, I mean, I know that Vikings are in the NFC, but if they were to play, let's just say the Texans,
Detroit's an indoor team.
Yeah, let's just say the Texans went to Buffalo.
Yeah.
But that's their home field advantage. I've been screaming for years. Fuck the Super Bowl in a neutral site. I think it should alternate between the AFC and the NFC.
Well, Houston plays Baltimore this weekend.
Yeah.
At Baltimore, right?
Correct.
So I imagine it's going to be cold, right?
I think the entire eastern seaboard is going to be cold this week. It's going to be cold here.
Right. I mean, it'll be an interesting watch to see if CJ Stroud plays anywhere near his potential in an outdoor stadium in the cold.
A bunch of people are creaming over that goddamn game. Seeing Lamar and CJ Stroud in the same
Yeah.
fucking game.
Yeah,
You
it'll
know
be
what I'm saying?
it'll be a fun watch.
That
be.
game, I'm gonna laugh my ass off when the final score is like fucking 13-7.
Yeah, I think.
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? When it's a fucking take the under game, they think these offenses are gonna light up. I'm here to tell you, Baltimore's good.
Oh, the defense is good too. Yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore is outside of San Francisco, and I'm gonna say this, and I know I picked the Bills, but they're most well-rounded team. The Bills are the hot team, and you never fuck with the hot team. They're the hot team. They're pissed off. They're emotional. They think they've been wronged.
Yeah.
Baltimore's waltzing in here going, hey, we've earned it on the field like Florida State did, but we're in. Sorry, I get $50
I don't know.
every time I get that in.
The Packers are coming in pretty hot too, and I hate to say that, but I mean the Packers are coming in pretty. They look pretty good.
The Packers are
see-
fixing to get their fucking ass kicked.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a tougher game than San Francisco thinks it's going to be.
Okay.
It's a playoff game, but here's the other team that
Green Bay
Here's-
also has to travel across the country.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
the other team I say to watch out for is Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit looked good. So Detroit's going to be an interesting team.
But they're also an indoor team. If they end up in an outdoor venue in the cold, it could matter. Could be that home field advantage could play in. I mean, if they're going, so say, well, no, I mean, like if they play San Fran in San Fran, it's not really going to be a thing because that's usually a decent place to play. But I mean, if Detroit was going to play outdoors against, Green Bay at Green Bay, let's just say.
That ain't going to bother them. They play them twice a year. They go there
They're
all the
used
time.
to it, right? They're used to
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So, I mean, okay, well, we beat that to death anyway. So it's a waste of time to talk anymore about it. But we should actually do is take our picks for the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start in the NFC. San Francisco and Green Bay.
I'm gonna go San Francisco.
Me too.
I'll take the Packers.
What a fucking homer!
No,
This fucking guy.
I'm taking them.
All right, Detroit and Tampa Bay.
Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going Detroit.
It's at Detroit.
Yeah. That fucking place, if you thought this fucking place was was fucking loud, oh, and another thing, these fucking people, I'm backing this now because this kind of pissed me off. The same people, People are fucking stupid. They're probably from Philly anyway. But the same fucking people who are bitching about Taylor Swift at the KC game were like, oh, fuck, it's cool as shit that Eminem is at the fucking Detroit game because they showed him like 9 fucking times. You know what I'm saying? You got Barry Sanders chilling with fucking Eminem and a couple of my fucking people, Rachel Ray's probably down there and shit like that. All those fucking people from Detroit.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Detroit's excited. They just won their fucking first fucking playoff game in 32 fucking years. Leave them the fuck alone. You thought that place was crazy last week?
Exactly.
That place is going to be insane this week because now they got a chance to go to the fucking NFC Championship game. The fucking Lions, when I was growing up, the Lions were a fucking joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They should be excited they have a team.
Yeah.
And they're good.
So tell them to shut the fuck up. All these fucking, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hop over to the AFC. Baltimore, Houston. Everybody picking Baltimore?
Yeah. I'll take
Baltimore has a bad habit of losing after they have a bye week. You know. Okay, to our commenter, the Braves have been around. They're the second oldest franchise in Major League Baseball. They've been around a fuckload longer than the Colorado Rockies, who have been around since, I believe, 1994.
Almost 100 years longer.
Right. So yeah, they've lost over 10,000 games. Yeah, that's not a good comparison. Yeah.
You know we did that just to mess with you, right?
I mean, yeah. You know, it's always good to give my baseball knowledge challenge because you know it's almost spring training for me too. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyhow, but Baltimore. Hang on. Baltimore has a bad habit of losing when they're there. You know, they're there. So I'm gonna take
Baltimore.
I'm
going to take the Houston Texans.
Wow. That's
okay.
That is brave.
Well, we'll find out next week. All right. Kansas City or Buffalo? I've already made my choice on this one, so
I'm taking Buffalo. It's in Buffalo. I'm taking
That
Buffalo.
is
I can't wait for that game.
That's the best game of the week.
I can't wait for that game.
That's the game of the week that's America's game right there. But it's in Buffalo. Buffalo looks. I'm gonna go Buffalo.
all right. Okay. So let's see.
Who did you pick, Beeb?
I picked
Beebs.
I picked Buffalo for that game.
Okay. All right.
However, you guys were both right about Dallas winning more than one playoff game.
Yeah, they didn't.
And I was wrong.
Yep.
So everything else is still in play. All the other questions are still in play. And we'll do some adding up of points, but I think Scott's in the lead right now.
Wow.
St. Joe in the lead as far as the pick'ems.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, you know. That's good.
So before we get too much further, there's one last thing that I kind of want to. There's so much going on in the world of sports. Last week we had, we obviously had the playoffs over the weekend, which is what we spent most of the time talking about so far. But I would like to take a minute to talk about Nick Saban retiring because it's such a huge news-worthy type of thing because it's like the end of an era, in the college football. And I know that I was going to ask Keb how you feel about that going on because it directly affects the SEC, which is going to affect us, but we never played against Nick Saban except for in the playoffs. So my question, I guess, for you is, Kev, what do you think this is going to do to the SEC?
I think it will. It was very important who they got. I think who they hired was kind of shocking. A lot of people thought they'd go after Dabo Swinney. A lot of people thought that they might,
including me.
Yeah, I was rooting hard for Lane Kiffin. You know,
That would've been a fun story, yeah.
that would have been awesome because I mean, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but Lane Kiffin is undefeated on Twitter.
He's funny. Yeah.
No, I mean, he's great. I think for the SEC, I mean, it's a huge loss. I mean, for anybody to say that he's not the best college coach ever, I mean, he's right in there with the Bear Bryants of the world, with the the Joe Paternos of the world, dare I say, the Urban Meyers of the world. A great trivia question that I heard in his tenure at Alabama: how many times did he lose the SEC championship game?
Was he the
Once.
coach? Was he the coach when Florida beat him?
He lost once to the Florida Gators in 2008.
That's astonishing.
That's the only time he lost the SEC championship game while he was at Alabama.
Wow.
That's astonishing.
Yeah,
that is
that right
crazy.
there should tell you how good of a coach and how much he meant. I mean, motherfucker has a statue.
Oh, hey, we got
at
we have a
Alabama.
comment here. It says 0 losing seasons in 28 years as a head coach.
Well, the other thing that gives a nod to him, and I think this is the number, but when they said it, I want to say there's 78 players that are in the NFL right now that came out of Alabama underneath Nick Saban's tutelage.
Yeah, I would say the majority of those are starters. Like when we were talking to Funny,
Yeah.
I mean, you watch the NFL, and no matter what game you're on, I mean, that guy went to Alabama. That guy went to Alabama. That guy went to Alabama.
Yep.
I mean, look at the Philly game last night. You know, I mean, look at I mean, just littered all around the NFL. I mean, at one point there were 4 starting quarterbacks in the NFL that all played for Nick Saban.
Yeah. Well, and I would bet out of that 78, I would bet the majority of them were probably the deepest one. I would bet would be a third rounder. I mean, they were all high round choices. I'm pretty sure. I mean, that just churns out some quality players.
Yeah, I mean, right now you got Jalen Hurts, you got Tua, you have Bryce Young,
Baker,
and then
Baker was at OU.
He was at OU.
Oh, that's right.
And so was Jalen Hurts.
But you got Mac Jones.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts spent more time at Alabama than he did at OU.
But he threw for more yards at OU than he did at Alabama, if that says anything.
Did they win a national championship with him?
No, they were in the playoffs, though.
But they got their ass whipped, right?
No, I think they lost by 10.
But he transferred to OU because he was a baby because he didn't want to sit the bench on Alabama.
Right. But they let him throw at OU.
Okay.
But the only reason he was at OU was because
Look,
he wanted.
I don't think the man would have been in the NFL unless he went to OU.
Okay. For our listeners, we'll be right back from the Oklahoma propaganda show.
49 first round picks. Wow,
That's
crazy. Wow, that's unbelievable.
Anyhow, I think he'll be missed. I think you might see Alabama take a dip, not a big dip, because I think they hired a good coach, and you still have the power of Alabama. I mean, you still have that there. I think, it's. I know Atlanta was talking to Bill Belichick, but I also know they're talking to Kirby Smart. Yeah, so there might be. I mean, what does Kirby Smart have left to prove at Georgia?
I mean, he's the next Nick Saban.
He won back-to-back national championships, something they hadn't done since 1980.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any reason to lose or to leave either. I mean, he's getting paid a ton of money. He's got the best recruiting. He's got the best recruitment in the country by far, and. I don't know, but he does come from the Nick Saban tree of coaches too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see him he seems to have followed the model that Nick Saban built.
Yeah, I just think that with these guys, though, they kind of like Spurrier, Nick Saban did it, Urban Meyer. These guys want to see if their quote unquote system works at a higher level.
Yeah.
I mean, the pinnacle of football is to win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I guess
You know,
so.
so
Maybe. Were you shocked at the hire for Alabama?
well,
Guy from
bit,
Washington.
well, bit.
DeBoer.
I thought they would try to steal somebody from the SEC because they kind of know, you know,
Yeah.
um, yeah, not to be an SEC homer, but I mean it just means more here. You know, it could be a different animal. It's a gauntlet to get through.
Yeah.
You know, and if you get through it, I mean, there have been many times to where you'd see a Big Ten team go undefeated, and you have a one-loss SEC team, and the Big Ten team, comes to play the one-loss SEC team, and the one-loss SEC team beats the shit out of them. You know, and on paper, that Big Ten team should. I can name many instances where that happened. 2006 Florida versus Ohio State is one of them.
Sure.
And it's just a gauntlet. You're in a big time game almost every week. Here. I mean, Oklahoma's fitting to find out. You know, I mean, and I'll tell you this: the teams in the SEC that you think are pushovers, they're not. I give you Kentucky. I give you. I mean, Ole Miss. Mississippi State. They're not. They're not.
Hey, look, I'm a little shocked at Kentucky. The coach Stoops there. I'm a little bit shocked that he hasn't gone somewhere else. I think he's a pretty good coach. If you can win at Kentucky, you can probably win anywhere, can't you?
Yeah, but he's getting a boatload of money for Kentucky, and he has like no pressure.
Right.
I mean, they're a basketball school, so
Right.
I mean, he has no pressure. So I mean, he could probably stay there the rest of his career, make $10 million a year, or whatever he's making. And I mean, in Kentucky, that's like having $1 billion because the majority of people in Kentucky live in a single wide fucking trailer playing their banjo out on their fucking porch
That's not true.
in their bib overalls with a shotgun right next to them. And their shotgun probably costs more than their car.
It's not true.
I'm a little bitter.
I mean,
Florida
maybe
lost to Kentucky.
it's not like that in Louisville. Louisville.
Hey, did you know that the people of Kentucky hate it when you call their capital Louisville?
Oh boy, here we go.
It's Frankfurt. Okay, so anyway, peace. I was a little bit shocked at DeBoer being the coach there. That said, he built a program at Washington that was starting to be sustainable. So I can see it. It was just a little bit shocking that they went to the Pac-12, and he's more of these teams are more offensively oriented, and Alabama has been more of a defense first, run game first type of team for a really long time. So it feels like they're kind of shifting gears a little bit, and I don't know.
Well, they're going to be shifting to whatever he wants to make it now.
Right. So I guess
I thought they should have made a bigger play for Sark, but why would Sark leave Texas?
no, he's got a good thing going there.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be good every year now. Well,
Yeah.
they might have a couple SEC seasons where they have to get used to the gauntlet, but
Yeah.
they're going to be good every year.
So are you saying that every college team needs to stay the same no matter who the coach is as well now?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
That no matter who the college team is and the way they play it, they have to stay the same no matter who the coach is?
No, I'm just saying that's kind of the Alabama reputation. That's what it's been for a really long time, is run the ball and play good defense. I mean, and they've had some good quarterbacks, but it's always been a run first oriented attack. So and that's what they've won with. So I looked at that and thought, okay, well, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, but they've only been that way because Saban's been the coach, right?
Well, Bear Bryant played the same way.
Way the fuck back when, though? I mean, there's been other coaches in between him, Bear Bryant, and Nick Saban.
Yeah. I mean, other than, your Lane Kiffin Ole Miss team, and I mean, even the Florida Gators team with Tim Tebow on it, they didn't throw the ball first. They ran the ball first. It's an SEC thing. I guess not every. I'm not saying they have to be the same. I'm just saying it just seems a little bit like it's outside of the box.
Steve Spurrier, Florida Gators.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they threw the ball.
Yeah. Hey, St. Jude, do you know if I said the name Barry Alvarez, do you know who I'm talking about?
Sure. And I knew that was going to come up. So
Okay.
he was a run dominated Badgers team.
And he was there for a fuck long time.
Yeah. And then he became the athletic director and
Right.
did everything. Sure. And then Wisconsin was known for putting out big offensive linemen and great running backs. But look at them now. I mean, do they have great running backs? No. Do they have great quarterbacks? No. Do they have a great team? No. They don't have anything.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but a guy named Ron Dane went to Wisconsin?
Yeah, yeah. And did he win the Heisman? Yeah. And did he go to the Giants? And did he become part of Thunder and Lightning? Yeah, he did. But where is he now? He's probably sitting on the couch getting fat, eating Cheetos. So yeah, it's great.
He might live in Kentucky.
It could maybe, but yeah. I mean, it's great. But name another running back that came out of Wisconsin.
Oh, there's one on the Colts right now, isn't there?
Yeah,
Or,
Jonathan Taylor.
Taylor, yeah.
Yeah,
He was great. He was a great running back.
sure.
He was good. He was
sure.
fun to watch too. He was really good.
Yeah.
There was a
They had
player
another
came
good
in-
one. They
Yeah,
had
there was
another good
another
one,
one came
like
before him.
right around the Ron Dane time, didn't they?
Yeah,
They-
that was Jonathan Taylor. Shortly after
no,
Ron.
no. Like right before
there
Ron
was
Dane
there
or
was
right
another one. He
after
played
Ron
for-
Dane. Yeah.
Denver. He played for Denver, didn't he? The guy you're talking.
Oh, Monty Ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, there was a couple of them that were different there, and they were doing fine. But yeah, but then the Cincinnati guy came in, and he's trying to do a couple more passing, and and then look at the quarterback transferred to Florida,
Is it Luke Fickle?
Luke Fickle. Yeah,
Wasn't he an Ohio State fella?
he was. I'm sorry, he was Ohio State.
I mean, he did coach Cincinnati for like a season, but
Yeah, that's why he was Ohio, then went to Cincinnati, then he came to Wisconsin. But I mean, he's trying to do some stuff with the quarterback and do a little bit more passing and everything. But yeah, I mean, I guess they're going to
Wisconsin
think
used to
about
be-
run. But
Wisconsin used to be a feared team
yeah, but before that, they were known
because
for their
they could.
receivers. I mean, one of the best.
Everybody
Al
there.
Toon came out of Wisconsin. He was a great wide receiver.
Yeah.
So they've had other wide receivers that are
And
great,
they actually, Russell Wilson went to Wisconsin, didn't he?
but yeah, via NC State.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
a great throwing team. That was
Lost
really
the
good.
Rose Bowl in the last seconds.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was great.
Bo Callahan went to Wisconsin.
He did. Bo Callahan should have been the number one pick, but dropped down to 7.
Dropped down to 7. Who took him?
Seattle.
Seattle took him. Yeah,
You pancake eating motherfucker. Great movie. But
Oh, dude, I fucking love that movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good deal. Take
Hey,
it.
we got that kid GM in Jacksonville. What's his
Yeah,
name?
it's a great movie. I
Jeff
saw
Carson.
that the other day. It was a great movie. All right. Well, I got. I thought Saban was retired because he's going to have some trouble about fucking little boys in the locker room like Joe Paterno, but maybe not.
Is he Catholic?
Joe Turner.
I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, I got two questions for you. Two things. I went on a trip. Another cruise. Just got
Going
back.
on a trip on our favorite rocket ship. If you can name that show, right there, you
Little
got kids.
Einsteins.
You got kids if you can name
Oh.
that show.
I don't know that show.
Going on a trip.
And this is just specifically for Beeves because I heard a joke on the ship. And I came back and I said, all right, I have to tell this joke to Beeves. So, Beeves, what is a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet?
Well, it's not R, is it?
I'm asking you.
Well, R.
You would think that, right? But it's not R because it's always been the C's. And I heard that and I'm like, that is definitely a Beeves joke. So
Pretty good. I like.
yeah, that's actually a pretty funny joke. I told that to Kev earlier, and Kev actually laughed at it. So I'm like, that's pretty funny.
It was good.
All right,
'Cause
and
I said
don't.
the same thing, by the way. I was like, "Arr."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just a given. So, and then I don't really have any drama, but I do have a question that I don't know if anybody's ever answered, and it's not. I guess it could be sports related because there's some pretty fun nicknames in sports, and maybe we could do that sometime. But I was thinking about it, and we know Keb as the Keb, but did we ever know how Keb got the name Keb?
Oh, do you want the official story or how it really, or what I tell people?
Well, so I told you this story in order to tell you this story.
Okay. The the more common story is that I have a younger sister that I talk about quite often, who was 6 years younger than I am. When she was very young, she could not pronounce the V in my name, so it came out like Kevin, and that just got shortened to Kev. That's a true story, but it was not. I was not commonly referred to it like I am now until I was about 16. This is the hey, I told you that story. Tell you this story,
Right, right.
and I'm not embarrassed to say at all because I'm pretty good at it. I seriously wanted to. Now I was 16 in 1991. Okay, so I'm showing my age a little bit, but think about how things were in 1991. Okay, they're not. There are things that are widely accepted now that were not accepted in 1991. Okay. And I wanted to be an honest to God rapper. And I used Keb as my stage name, you know, but being a rapper in 1991 and looking how I look, it was a fucking issue, you know. So
Okay.
but that just with friends and all that, and so when I got to be on stage more commonly, I went through that because let's face it, I'm kind of a blue comic, and I have people around town that know me, that know my mother, that so if they see you know Kevin Pound up there, that they could go back and tell I heard your son say this on stage. He was talking ill about or if they just see Kev, who knows that but that's the official and non-official story. Both are true.
Okay. All right.
So
I figured the first one may have been
yeah,
a younger person could not have pronounced it,
yeah,
but that's good that it's been around for that long. So
yeah. Yeah, it's been around. You can. That's kind of where, not to get too much into the story, but that's kind of like when I was younger. Like you could tell if I've known somebody a short time because they call me Keb, or a very long time because they call me Keb. But the people in the middle call me Kevin, and that's where the term Keb lives comes from. Because I went away from it for a while, trying to be in a quote unquote professional life until I got into stand up, and that 10 years there, to where between 94 and 2005 2006 when I started doing stand up, you could tell people refer to me as Kevin. I mean now, not I mean my best friend's known me for 35 years, has me as Kev in his phone.
right, right.
I mean.
Well, and it's a great stage name too for
Yeah.
that stands up for it too. So it's perfect.
My mother calls me Kevin, but
Yeah, of course.
I mean, my sister calls me Kev. I mean, most people do.
That's funny.
So
Cool.
okay.
So that's all I got.
All right. Do you have something that good happened to you, Beeps, before I get into the stupid sport of the week?
Something good that happened to me. I think we kind of. You know what? No, not
Okay.
this week.
All right, cool. Philly lost. It's cold as KC. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. Student Sport of the Week. Student Sport of the Week is brought to you by the Two Petty Podcast, as it is each and every week. This week, we are talking about a sport that made me think of St. Joe.
Oh,
Okay, and it is the quirky sport of wife carrying, and it has its roots in Finnish legend and dates back to the 19th century. Legend has it that the Ronakanian, the robber, a notorious Finnish thief, required aspiring members to prove their worth by competing in a challenging course while carrying a heavy sack or a woman on their back. Seems like we still do that to this day. This evolved into a competitive sport in the late 20th century, gaining popularity globally. The wife carrying world championships, held annually in a town I can't pronounce in Finland, attract participants from various countries. The modern twist involves male contestants racing through an obstacle course while carrying their female partners, showcasing strength, agility, and fucking humor. That is the stupid sport of the week. Wife carrying. Now, as we do each and every week on this program, we have been playing a iconic broadcast sports call from there, and St. Joe, because it's the NFL playoffs, I just had to do this one just for you.
3-yard attempt from the right hash mark. And he hits the upright again. That's impossible. And the Eagles run out into the field, but there's still 5 seconds, so they've got to get back. He does it again.
When he's brought back to the spot of the kick, it will be Philadelphia's
Did this hit
ball.
the
First down
upright
at the
and the
33-yard line.
crossbar?
Bottom line, it doesn't go through. Upright. Yeah, it looks like it bounced off the crossbar as well.
Oh my goodness. The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
3-yard attempt from the right hash mark.
That's right. The Bears' season ended on a double doink.
I'm going to give you a double doink.
Anyhow, that's the broadcast clip for the week. What else is?
I vividly remember sitting there and just being like, "You've got to be kidding me!" I wanted to punch Chris Collinsworth in the face so bad. Yeah.
There's probably a lot of people that share that sentiment on a weekly
I was
basis.
very surprised they didn't put him on the Chiefs game, but I know it was on Peacock and that pissed a lot of people off. But if Patrick Mahomes has taken the Tom Brady, kind of mantle, and Chris Collinsworth loves that guy.
Oh, yeah. That's thanks. Now I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. Thanks a lot. That's great.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Take it, Benadryl.
Sorry. So why don't we take 5 minutes, Beeb? So why don't you let us know what's going on over at Unfiltered Studios?
Oh, you guys might have to assist me with. We're growing rapidly, so we'll want to give some shout outs to some of the new crew that have joined us. We will start with I don't even know the order, so we're just going to start naming off podcasts. But we would like to welcome the Story of.
Yep,
it's a new podcast.
Smith and the guys over at Story of.
Yep, and he was just on he just did Lava Lamps on the Stupid History Minute, right?
Correct.
And then we have FDR's Wheelchair, which is kind of a political satire, kind of humorous podcast. Excited that they're with us. We had the Geeky Dad series of podcasts.
Yep.
Join our crew. He's got 3 different podcasts. He's got the Geeky Dad After Dark, and the Marvel Kids. Is that right?
The Multiverse Kids.
The Multiverse Kids. And then I believe we had one more. That's Mr. That's the Jay Burke Show, right? With Jay Burke?
With Jay Burke Show. We also had the Fandalorians.
That's right. I'm sorry, Fandalorians. It's a lot to remember sometimes.
Yeah, join us. So,
but Jay Burke with Jay Burke, he just joined us today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this will be the first time that we kind of chat about him. But we just want to welcome those podcasts to the network. We're really excited. We've grown quite a bit in the last week and a half, just over the last week and a half. Lots of things going on. So we're just really excited to be expanding and adding new talent to the studio, and the energy that's kind of surrounding the studio right now is really good. And I think I see great things on the horizon for us.
Yeah.
As do I. As do I. That I think you said it best there. You know, what's funny is every time I open my goddamn phone now, I got a notification, somebody doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's good stuff.
Wasn't always like that.
No, it wasn't. It was quiet for a while, wasn't it?
You know, I was talking to St. Joe earlier, and I'm like, "Yep, we got a network going on now."
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah, as always. So if you have a podcast out there and you're looking for a network home, come talk to us over at Unfiltered Studios. We might be the right fit. We might not. Never know until you fucking ask. A wise man once told me that that if you never ask, the answer is always no. Yeah,
that's right.
So,
and go check out the new Facebook page. Like it. The group.
Yeah. Oh, well, the group is private. The group's just for us.
Well, the Facebook page, at least.
Yeah,
the
the
Unfiltered
Facebook page,
Studios Facebook page.
Yeah.
Like it, share it, love it.
Yeah. Yeah, Facebook, Twitter seems to be a big place for podcasts, but I think there's some room for growth there on Facebook and other places.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Instagram guy, but
yeah,
we'll see. But what else we got?
Just this weekend's going to be a good one for sports, I think. So that's going to be good. Some good football games on, I think, this weekend. So I'm excited for it.
College basketball is also starting to heat up with conference play.
Yeah. College basketball is it's definitely gearing up for. It seems like March Madness already. It's getting ready. It's getting ready for some good games. So that should be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it for sure. I leading into the conference schedule, I know that the Big 12 has a bunch of really good teams in it. Actually, the SEC does, and so does the Big 10 this year. So they're all all those conferences are just looking really good this year. So it's going to be an interesting. I'm gonna have to start paying more attention to what's going on there.
Yeah, the brackets are going to be a little tough this year. I know Marquette. I know won a great game the other day. The Badgers are looking tough. So I know. I mean, obviously those are my two teams I follow a lot. But yeah, it's been a good season so far with a couple games that I've caught. So
you talk about that bracketology and them predicting now Florida's hugging on to one of those 10 seeds. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. We only lost to Kentucky by a basket, and we just worked Arkansas. So
yeah, it's going to be fun to get down when it gets down to it. It's going to be interesting. And like you said, spring training is right around the corner.
They report in 3 weeks, right?
It's crazy how fast this year is already going. I mean, it is crazy how it's getting off to a quick start. But
pitchers report soon.
Yeah. So
it's
good.
There.
Well,
it's getting there. So go check out all of our friends over at UNFPod.com. I guarantee you that if you want to listen to something, there's something there that will pique your interest. Guaranteed 100%. But other than that, go check that out. For St. Joe, for Beebs, my name is the Kep. We'll catch you guys next week.
Catch you on the flippity flop.